Tonight at 6, as Idalia dumps rain across the low country, the city is pumping it back out. Take a look at this. Just crazy. The storm triggered tornadoes this afternoon. This one flipped a car in Goose Creek. And we're watching the water creep closer as high tide rolls in just a few hours. Team coverage from your most accurate storm tracker station. News 4 is working for you as we track Idalia. Happening right now, live pictures as we monitor Idalia's low country impact. Our entire team is working for you right now and throughout the entirety of this storm. Scott Eisberg and Ann Emerson are monitoring downtown Charleston. Conley Grayson is up in Somerville. Floriana Boardman down on Edisto. We will get to them in just a moment, but first, this important message from the governor earlier today.
And also, President Biden called just a few minutes ago to reaffirm that they were standing by with it, whatever help they could give. And I remind everybody again that this wind and rain is coming right at high tide, it looks like.
Storm Tracker Chief Meteorologist Dave Williams joining us now. That timing the governor mentioned is key. You've been talking about it all week, you and Sonia both. So a lot of people probably wondering, is it still looking that way in about 2.5 hours now?
Absolutely, Katie. And one of the big concerns was we would get heavy rain. That's already occurred. So there's ponding of water already in downtown Charleston. We've got more coming. Tropical storm warning is in effect. We've got a storm tracker day until early Thursday morning. Heavy rain, coastal flooding, gusty winds. Our traffic light is lit yellow. This isn't the worst situation we've ever seen. It's not the worst situation we're ever going to see. But we are seeing the impacts. We've got damage from trees being blown down. We have damage from possible tornadoes. So we are looking at that as we get a look out over the intercoastal waterway here, 82 degrees, and we're looking at plenty of clouds out there, and we are going to see those feeder bands continuing to come inland. Here you go, tropical storm warnings. Everyone under a tropical storm warning. As far as hurricane warnings, they're gone because we're not looking at a hurricane. We're looking at a tropical storm. But we're also looking at those tropical storm force winds moving across the Savannah River now. Look at the wind gust right now in Beaufort, 40-mile-an-hour wind gust, 35-mile-an-hour wind gust in Orangeburg, 31 in Charleston. So we've already seen a lot of rain. We've seen tornadoes. Now we've got the tropical storm part of it to come through this evening. So the worst is yet to come, especially with those onshore winds and high tide coming up later tonight. Look at some of these wind gusts. As we go through the next several hours, we're looking at those winds gusting up over 40 miles an hour, 35 to 40 miles an hour through 3 o'clock in the morning. Even 7 o'clock in the morning, looking at those winds gusting up around 30 miles an hour. Finally, by about lunchtime tomorrow, the winds start to ease just a little bit, and by 9 p.m. tomorrow, finally, things are calm. Here you go. We're under a tornado watch until 10 p.m. That's everyone in the area. We've already seen tornado warnings, and we're looking at these feeder bands coming in off the Atlantic Ocean. That's our biggest concern. The next one that I'm going to watch very closely, this one around Edisto Beach. The problem is that may end up around downtown around the time of high tide. You can see that moving up toward Charleston. High tide, 8:24 this evening. So that heavy rain continues to move up toward downtown Charleston, onshore winds, and we already know that it's going to be an astronomical high tide. So that's what we're most concerned with around high tide this evening. Major coastal flooding is forecast for downtown Charleston. We've got 81 degrees at 7 p.m. with those showers and thunderstorms, rain still in the area at 9 p.m. And then, like we saw, those tropical storm force winds, they're going to be headed up by about 11 o'clock tonight. So we're not done with this storm by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, some of the worst is probably yet to come. We'll track more of Idalia and get you a look at a gorgeous Labor Day holiday weekend. That's all coming up here in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Dave. And we are closely watching the impact Idalia will have on our beaches. Our Floriana Boardman live out on Edisto. Floriana, we can see that wind and that rain coming in. It's gotten significantly worse even in the last 15 minutes.
Oh, definitely, Katie. I mean, I can barely see the camera right in front of me. The wind and that rain is just really, really strong. It's smacking us right in the face. You can see just how gray it is outside, how those palm trees, the power cables are just moving they're all moving as these strong winds are coming in. Like Dave was mentioning before, these are maybe 30 to 40 mile per hour winds. I mean, they feel even stronger than that because that rain is also coming in, and it is just, it is coming straight from the coast. You can just see how strong it is. You can see how it is even on the ground, on the roadways. You can see how quickly it's moving towards us. We had to move back because the waves have started to come over the dunes, and they've started to come over the dunes into the area where we were parked before, and so now we are across the street just to make sure we are safe. So I'm going to toss it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thank you, Floriana. Now, pushing water back out into the harbor is a new sight to see. Here's a new video of one of those pumps at the Battery downtown. It's one of several being used to try to keep flooding at bay. Ann Emerson has been monitoring conditions downtown, specifically from the Battery, and the city has several lanes closed at multiple intersections as of now, and that could and likely will increase as we approach high tide.
Katie, that's exactly what we're hearing, isn't it? That we're going to see some major flooding, especially as we reach that high tide later on this evening. Now, what we've been seeing is this water is starting to breach on a regular basis over the seawall. And it is right now just kind of interesting to the people that are out here, some of the onlookers. And we just ran into a few of them just a minute ago. Come over here. This is Maddie, right, Maddie?
Yes.
Okay, and these are some of her friends. Hi, guys.
Hello.
You came out here. Of course, it's still relatively safe right now, but I know the conditions are starting to deteriorate. Why did you come out here?
We live not too far, just down the street, and we figured why not, while we could still drive around, just check it out a little bit.
Yeah, not many people can say that they've done this. Might as well while we're here.
Are y'all from around here?
A few of us from Charlotte, a few from Michigan, but we all live together.
Yeah.
Great. So this is an extraordinary amount of wind and rain. I think y'all are going to get pretty wet if you keep on staying out here.
Yes.
Are you prepared for the flooding downtown?
For the most part, we moved all of our cars into parking garages. We've taken we take all of our plants down outside.
We've got the sandbags and everything ready.
Great. What year are you guys?
We are juniors now.
Oh, fantastic.
Third year here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to us. And
Thank you.
we are all going to be monitoring it and keeping in touch with news4.com, right? To make sure that you're going to get the latest on what's going on with this storm tonight. You know, right now we are still seeing relatively dry conditions, right, on the sidewalk, except for when these waves come over and take us and get us quite sprayed. But besides that, it's still pretty dry. We're just waiting for the storm to keep on coming in with everybody else. Reporting live at the Battery right now, I'm Ann Emerson, News 4.
All right, thank you, Ann. And now would be a good time to remind people to heed our meteorologist warnings and stay indoors if you can this evening, especially as high tide approaches and flooding is imminent. Stay indoors, stay off the roads, and stay safe. Meanwhile, competing with Mother Nature, a local athletics director says he ran for cover when a tornado formed nearby. Scott Eisberg spoke with him about the harrowing ordeal in North Mount Pleasant.
It's amazing how close you can be, but how different things are in a storm like this. We are down on the market in downtown Charleston, and right now, frankly, it's okay. There's nothing going on. Really, the winds are fine, and there's no rain coming down. Literally 10 miles north of us, up in North Mount Pleasant, the Charleston National Subdivision, completely different just moments ago. I caught up with Mark Meyer. He's somebody I cover often. He is the athletics director for Oceanside Collegiate. Wow, what an experience he just went through.
Raining pretty hard and it was blowing pretty good. It's one of those bands that was coming through. You know, I'm born and raised in Charleston, so I've done this 1,000 times, but something caught my ear. It literally sounded like a truck coming down, like a UPS truck or something, but a little bit louder than normal. So I went out on my front porch, and then the houses across the street from me are on a big expanse of marsh between them and the Intercoastal Waterway. And it was clear of rotation and debris was flying up behind their houses. And it sort of went behind, along parallel to our street from my right to the left behind my neighbors' houses. And once it cleared and, all the neighbors went outside, we were all comparing notes. But it was definitely a tornado. Did a lot of damage to some trees, street signs, mailboxes got cracked in half, garage doors got blown in. Yeah, it was a scary couple of seconds. The first time I've ever run or even yelled at my wife to run to an interior room. You know, you hear that your whole life, but I've never had to do it.
I mean, you've never had to run through an interior. At what point did you just say, "I got to run inside. I got to stay safe here"?
As soon as I saw the rotation and saw that one little spurt off of it sort of came towards like my direction, which made me like quit looking at it and enjoying the view, and like say, "Hey, this is serious. We got to go inside and shut the door." Yeah, first time. I've never seen one before.
Charleston National, where he lives, has a golf course on it. That golf course, one of the epicenters of where Hurricane Hugo hit back in 1989, really wiped it off the map. Thankfully, this one not nearly as serious. In Charleston, I'm Scott Eisberg. I'll send it back to you.
And we checked in with Charleston County leaders. A spokesperson says 19 people are staying in the shelter on Leeds Avenue. That's up in North Charleston. It will be open until 10 tomorrow morning, and pets are welcome. If you need a ride, call 843-746-3900. And as we go to break, the calm before the storm this morning, an incredible sunrise in Charleston. We are tracking Idalia with more live team coverage coming up.
Tracker Tracking Idalia Update, sponsored by 5 Stars Roofing.
All right, guys, I'm down here on Lockwood Boulevard at Broad Street. I want to show you what's going on here. The water coming in, the tide is pretty much level, just about level with the sidewalk. You can see someone actually just stopped by to take some video of it. We took some video earlier. This is that incoming tide that Dave and Sonia were talking about. This is why it's so important to stay home now and not be down here, because once it gets dark, you're not going to be able to see how deep the water is on the roadways. You might drive down the road, and 20 minutes later, that tide comes in, and it comes in at a fast rate, and it might cover the roadway, and you're going to be boxed in downtown, especially with the one-way streets, so it would be hard to get out. I want to go back to Carolina Park for a second. We got some updated information there. We spoke to a homeowner who had damage there at his house. Tornado came through there, according to reports. It picked up a porta potty, hit his Jeep. That Jeep got pushed into a palmetto tree, and as the homeowner tells me, as he was listening to the alerts on his phone from the tornado warning, the windows and the door was shattering in his house. So that's how dangerous it was. And just like Dave and Sonia tell you, you don't have 10, 15, 20 minutes to seek shelter. You have literally seconds or a minute to do it right then as those warnings are going through. So that's what makes it so dangerous. I'll send it over to a break now. We'll be right back with some more coverage of this hurricane.
At 6. We're working for you with a Storm Tracker update.
This picture is all I need you to see. Take a look behind me. High tides 2 hours from now. We're already looking at the waves crashing up over top of the dunes at Edisto Beach. 2 hours from now, high tide. Downtown Charleston is going to see major flooding tonight. Low-lying spots close to the coast and close to tidal creeks are going to see major flooding tonight. Winds are on shore. There's more heavy rain coming in. We're going to see major flooding. This is going to get worse before it gets better. Hopefully you live on high ground and you don't have to worry about that, but some folks are really going to have to contend with this. 82 degrees outside right now. We no longer have a hurricane. We have a tropical storm. We're going to experience tropical storm conditions this evening. That's what I need you to prepare for. From I-95 all the way to the coast. It's wind and rain inland. It's the coastal flooding along the coast. Everyone is impacted by this storm. Here's what we have for you. This is my worst case scenario, and I've had this graphic made since Monday. My biggest concern tonight, rounds of heavy rain, we've already seen it. More is on the way. East-northeasterly onshore winds and a 8:24 p.m. lunar high tide, which is now forecast to be 8.7 feet. We could make it onto the all-time highest crests list. It's going to be wet. and it's going to be a lot of water. Major flooding expected. We still have moderate flooding in downtown Charleston expected Thursday night and again on Friday night. So we're dealing with those gusty winds coming in now. 31-mile-an-hour wind gust in Beaufort, 31-mile-an-hour wind gust in Charleston, 35-mile-an-hour wind gust in Orangeburg. So we're all going to see the tropical storm force winds. Here is our storm. We're under a tornado watch until 10 p.m. Tough to pick out the center of the storm, but it's right about there near Savannah. And I'm really watching some of these bands coming in off the Atlantic Ocean. Strong thunderstorms. This one headed toward Georgetown. That's the band that already came through here earlier. And this one setting up a band of heavy rain. Not at the time we want to see it, headed toward high tide, headed toward downtown Charleston, even more rain back behind that Beaufort. That's going to shift to the northeast because our storm is moving to the northeast. As we take a look at some of those damage reports, yes, that's a tornado right there. We had a tornado that flipped a car on Highway 52. So that's a confirmed tornado. We've seen damage reports from around town. Heavy rain, closed roads, Crowfield Village. Heavy rain here around Meggett. 3.8 inches of rain, and that was as of 2/19. Some folks are going to pick up over 7 inches of rain from this storm system. There are those bands spiraling in. Fortunately, these bands looking a little bit weaker. They still have torrential downpours, but hopefully the tornado threat will start to fade. Notice the tornado watch ends at the Savannah River. As the center passes us by, the tornado threat passes us by as well. There is our storm. Take a look at Futurecast, and we've got that heavy rain right now. Wind forward in time, 8 p.m. Not when we want to see that heavy rain in downtown Charleston. We dry things out a little bit by 11, and then some more rain on the backside of the storm, but at least the winds are offshore, hopefully pushing some of that water out into the Atlantic Ocean. By 6 o'clock in the morning, the rain's done. And then it's bright and sunny tomorrow. I expect gorgeous weather most of the day tomorrow. It just will stay a little bit breezy at times. And then into our Friday, nothing but bright sun, and we'll take that gorgeous weather with us into the weekend. No more than a few fair weather clouds. 72, bands of heavy rain, very gusty winds overnight tonight. Then tomorrow, 84 degrees, a shower early, breezy and clearing into the afternoon. Everyone stay safe, stay home. Tonight's not the night to go out. Tomorrow morning is a storm tracker day, better in the afternoon. And after that, we see gorgeous weather into the holiday weekend, lower humidity, and lots of sunshine.
We've seen multiple tornado warnings impacting areas not far from Somerville today. And let's head up to that part of the low country now where Conley Grayson has been assessing the situation.
We are in downtown Somerville, and we haven't seen much flooding because we've only seen this rain on and off. But as you can see, all of the stores along downtown Somerville have prepared. They've all put sandbags out, and you can see that in front of each individual store. They've all been preparing. If you look at the roads, they're actually still pretty clear. Again, this rain has been on and off, so we're only seeing that pile up kind of close to the gutters just because of that elevation change. If you're looking at the grass and the sidewalks, they are pretty saturated. You've got a puddle here and there, but again, we haven't seen that much flooding, or at least not dangerous flooding yet. Reporting in downtown Somerville, I'm Conley Grayson. Seen much flooding